Hey everyone, welcome to Life Everlasting. Today's episode we're going to be learning an advanced song. This is going to be just kind of an example, like the previous episode, where we were just going through the process of actually turning sheet music into something that we can audibly hear. This is by no means a tutorial on learning an instrument. This is, again, merely the process of translating the music that we see on paper into something that you can actually play and something that you hear. Reading sheet music, just as an example. This is a pretty advanced song. The other one is a really simple song, so if you don't know how to read advanced music, for one thing, I recommend my tutorial series on reading sheet music, 3 parts. Highly recommend watching them before this one if you don't know how to read sheet music. I'll have those in the notes below. Again, let me know down below what you think of the episode, if you'd like to see me do anything different, or if you'd like to see me cover something else. Love to hear it. Until then, see you soon. Hope you enjoy the episode. So in the last video I'd shown kind of just the process of reading sheet music, but was sitting at a piano and doing that. I decided this video just to stick with the standard formula that I was going with, which was a screen capture and showing the notes. So in this video, rather than learning the notes and actually playing them on the piano, we're going to try to figure out what this song even sounds like before we press the play button. So this song is really complicated, as you can see. For one thing, something I am going to do, even though this is a song for piano, I'm going to just flat out remove the left hand from the song. So that way, we're just reading the right hand. I haven't done anything on learning the left hand. I may do that in a future episode if enough people request for it. So if you want to see me do a video on reading bass clef, then go ahead and leave a note in the comments saying that you would like to see that, and I'll make a video on it. So I figured just dive right in head first and start trying to actually read this. So we know right off the bat we are in 4/4, so we're counting in terms of 4 beats per measure. We also know that this is in the key of C, because there are no sharps or flats over here noting otherwise. So we're right off the bat, we know at least we're counting in regular time, and we're not anything that does not have a flat or a sharp by it. We're just going to know it's the natural note. So right off the bat, we have a pretty complex rhythm here with 16th notes. So very, very quick. I have this at 120. When learning this, a more realistic number would be 60, because you'd want to slow this down, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 120 though. So here on the first measure, we have a 16th rest, followed by 7 16th notes. So essentially, this is 2 beats long in total, all of these initial 16th notes before you reach the 8th notes. So then after these 16th notes, it's just 4 8th notes, which isn't too bad. We've seen that before. So from the initial videos I'd made on reading sheet music, 16th notes count as 1 E-enda, 2 E-enda. So in this situation, we have a 16th rest first, so it'd be E-enda, 2 E-enda. You just cut off that 1 at the beginning, so it's E-enda, 2 E-enda. E-enda, 2 E-enda. Really strange and stuff, but the reason why this rest is even here was because the left hand, I think, was the one that started off. Let's just see. Yeah, the left hand was the one starting off the notes, so that's why that 16th rest is there, is simply because our left hand was the hand that starts this particular song. So no need to worry about that whenever you see that 16th rest there at the beginning. So the way this measure would count is E-enda, 2 E-enda, 3 and 4 and. So in terms of left hand, if you included that, it would have the standard 1 E-enda, 2 E-enda, 3 and 4 and. But the rest makes it E-enda, 2 E-enda, 3 E-enda,
my bad, E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So the notes are E, A, C, B, E, B, D, C, E, A flat, E. I'll put something on the screen here later if I got something wrong, because I was reading that pretty quick. Or I could just verify now. So E, A, C, B, E, B, D, C, E, A flat, E. So combining those together, you would have something along the lines of what I'm about to play. If you would like, just pause the video, and if you have an instrument with you, like a piano or a clarinet or whatever, a trumpet, then you could try to play this out real slow, and then you'll get an idea of what this measure sounds like before I play it here in just a second. So I'll give a slight pause so that way I can give you enough time to pause the video. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play this measure. I got a 16th note on the next measure in that, but you heard what that measure sounded like. Hopefully you were able to pick up on this and hear know what it's going to sound like before you heard it. And if you did, you successfully read it. And so that's really good. So in the second measure, we have 8 16th notes, 2 8th notes, and then a quarter rest. So this one would count 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and. And if you want to just state all of the rest as well, it would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and rest. So the notes would go A, E, A, C, B, E, B, D, C, A, rest. So I'll give you a little bit of a pause here so that way you can combine the rhythm with the notes if you have an instrument with you. If you don't, then you could try to hum it out. I can't sing worth anything, so I'll just give a rest and see if you can determine what this sounds like before I play it. Okay, so I'm going to play the second measure. So if we combine the first two measures, this is what it sounds like. So hopefully you picked that one up as well. If you did, good job. I was thinking about it while playing that one. We're probably only going to play learn just a bit of the song, because I mean it's a really long song and it'd make this video probably 30 minutes long just to learn the right hand. So we'll probably do just the first 3 lines maybe. That gives us enough room to learn some sharp notes as well and some tied notes. So here in the third measure we have a tied note at the end. So what I may do, we have a tied note at the end of this measure, so we're just going to cut off the tied note and then pick it back up when combining measures later. But something to remember is we do have a tied note here, and we know that because there's a line right here on this note, and then there's a line here on this note. They're the same note, so they're tied together. So the way this one would count is 16th rest, then 7 16th notes, and then 4 8th notes. So this is the identical in rhythm to the very first measure, with exception to the tied note. So this one will go E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So I'm going to give another little pause here in a second once I go over the notes, and you can see if you can pick it up before I play it. So as far as the notes are concerned, we have E, C, E, A, C, E, G, F, A, D, F. So I'm going to give a little pause, and so you can pause the video and then see if you can pick up the notes and how the song plays before you hear it. Okay, so we're going to play the the measure here. So this is what it sounds like. So one thing to note, again, 16th arrest here is simply because of the left hand. If it was here, you'd see it play first. So starting off at the 4th measure, we have a tied 16th notes, and we have 8 16th notes in total here, and then 4 8th notes. So this one is almost identical to the first measure as well, with exception that the first 16th arrest is instead an actual note. And that actual note is tied to the 8th note in the previous measure. So to cover this tied note, we have an 8th note and a 16th note. 1/2 plus 1/4 is 3/4 of a beat. So this is a 3/4 of a beat long note that is in F. To continue on through the measure, we have the D, B, D, G, B, D, F, E, G, C, and E. This E is tied to the E in the next measure, 3/4 of a beat long note. So if we were to count this, for one thing, this note would be tied together, so we're going to just exclude it. So it'd be E and a 2, E and a 3, and 4, and just like before. It's just because this note's tied together, you won't actually be playing a new note there. It's part of this note in the previous measure. And same for this one, but we will be playing it in this measure. Just in the next one, we will not be. I'm going to give a slight pause and see if you can pick up what this measure sounds like before I play it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play this measure and hear what it sounds like. So it did go ahead and play that first note, but in reality, this note does not play a new note here in the 4th measure because it is part of this note. I'm going to go back and play the first 4 measures now so you can hear what all of them combined sound like. So that is the first 4 measures. So in the next measure, we have the tied note. I'm going to exclude it. So the way this goes is 3 16th notes after the first one, 2 8th notes. This 8th note is tied to a 16th note, 3 16th notes, 8th note, and another 8th note that is tied to a 16th note. This one is a pretty difficult one to count, just looking at it. So this one would go E and a 2 and E and a 3 and 4 and. Let me see if I can count this. This one's a really weird one. E and a 3 and. Let me try again. E and a 2 and 3 and a. Okay, there's where the 3 is. This is the 3rd beat. E and a 2 and E and a 4 and. That's kind of how it counts. Pretty strange. So E and a 2 and E and a 4 and we're skipping the 3 because the 3 is a tied, the note that is exactly on the beginning of beat 3 is tied to the and of beat 2. So the notes go C, A, C, F, D, B, G, B, E, C. So I'll give a slight pause so you can pause the video and see if you can determine what this measure sounds like before I play it. So now we're going to play this measure, see what it sounds like. So that's one of the more challenging measures in the song. Just right off the bat, I can tell that's definitely one of the more challenging ones. Thankfully, these were tied, and so we were able to see exactly how many beats long they were in length, which is 3/4 of a beat. So in the next measure, we have 4/16 notes. This one's tied, so I'm going to exclude it. So 3 that are played in this measure. Then we have 2/8 notes, a quarter note, and a quarter rest. So the way this one would count, excluding this first 16th note, would go E and a 2 and 3. E and a 2 and 3 rest. Oh, my bad. E and a 2 and 3 rest. I skip forward to this measure. I'll go ahead and do a slight pause so you can see if you can pick up what this song sounds like before I actually play it. Then we'll actually play the measure and see what it actually sounds like. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play this measure and see what it sounds like, and see, just confirm what we've already been talking about. So again, E and a 2 and 3 rest. Almost said 4. So the notes, I don't remember if I went over them. A, F, A, D, B, C. The next measure, measure 7, is identical in rhythm to the very first measure. 16th rest, 7 16th notes, and then 4 8th notes. So again, E and a 2, E and a 3, and 4 and. And now that we know what the rhythm is, we can determine the notes, which are G, C, E, D, G, D, F, E, G, B, G. So I'm going to give a slight pause, combine the notes with the rhythm, see if you can determine what this measure sounds like before I play it. Okay, so now we're going to actually play the measure. So in measure 8, this one right here, 8 16th notes and 2 8th notes. So the way this one counts is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. So with that rhythm in mind, the notes are G, C, not G, C, G, C, E, D, G, D, F, E, C, G, E. So I'll give a slight pause, see if you can determine what the measure will sound like before I actually play it. So now we're going to actually play the measure. Okay, so we're going to learn the final measure here, measure 9. Same rhythm as the previous measure, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4 and. In this measure, we have a sharp note, F sharp. There are no other Fs in the rest of the measure, so we know this is the only F that is played that is going to be sharp. It's also the only F in the measure. The notes go C, E, no. So the notes go C, A, E, A, C, E, A, C, D, F sharp, A, C. And this C is 2 octaves above the middle C, just as a point of reference. So I'm going to give a slight pause, see if you can pick up what the song's going to sound like before I actually play it. So we're now going to actually play the measure and hear what it sounds like. So I'm going to rewind all the way to the beginning and play to the very end of measure 9 and hear what these combined measures sound like. So those are the first 9 measures in the song. So what I'm going to do, just for being able to hear what both hands together sound like and how big of an impact harmony has to melody, I'm going to go ahead and add the left song, change this back to 60, which was what we were playing this at, and you'll get to hear what both of them sound like. So this song is actually advanced enough to have melody in the left hand as well as the right hand. So when the right hand isn't playing, generally the left hand is making up for it. So you get to hear what both sound like. Again, I'm only going to play the first 9 measures since we only covered the first 9 measures with the right hand. So those were the first 9 measures, both hands. So generally, when learning sheet music, if you're trying to learn piano, I would just learn one hand at a time and then slowly combine both hands. I have a video on learning advanced songs with piano pretty quickly. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. I may just throw it in the description of this video, just so if you want to see it, it'll be there, quick access. So anyway, that's kind of the process of going over sheet music that's pretty advanced. Is just generally the first thing I recommend doing is determining the rhythm, then after that determine the notes, and then it's just a matter of combining the notes with the rhythm. Different instruments, you have to learn the notes different ways. Like with piano, it's more or less where do you put your hand, where do you put your fingers, so that way the next note is easy to reach. With something like clarinet, it's more or less just kind of the same thing but different, because your hands are already where they're going to be. They just stay constant. They don't move around a whole lot. And with with instruments like the trumpet or the trombone, I know that there is tightness in your mouth, like buzzing. I played trombone a little bit back in grade school, just enough to know that it's very complicated to stay in tune, but that's kind of the process of reading sheet music. So I hope you learned something from it. This was kind of a fun video to do because I got to listen to a complicated song here. I haven't learned it yet though. So let me know down below what you think of the episode, if this has helped you any, if you'd like to see me do anything different, and I'd love to hear it. And until then, see you soon.